ends when Geordi LaForge leaves engineering for command. LaForge had been dividing his time between ship design and his duties with Starfleet for several years, but when the opportunity arrives to take his own command, he cannot turn it down. LaForge is promoted to the captain of the USS Challenger and recommends Commander Nog to be chief engineer of the USS Enterprise-E. The promotion gives the first Ferengi in Starfleet another record. He is the first Ferengi to serve on the Starfleet's flagship. Nog's example inspires other Ferengi, and the 2397 class at Starfleet Academy includes 4 Ferengi cadets. We're seeing a dramatic change in the Ferengi culture. Commerce and profit still play a huge role in who the Ferengi are, but the societal reforms of Brent Negasram, an example of his son, are showing younger Ferengi that they can make their own choices. If you don't have the lobes for business, do something else, said Tulsa Gray of the University of Alpha Centauri. After repeated appeals from the Federation, Chancellor Jimpak reluctantly agrees to a third round of peace talks between the Klingon Empire and the Gorn hegemony. His decision puts him in opposition to a larger bloc on the High Council, including several members who supported his rise to power. These opponents favor a final declaration of war against the Gorn, and there are rumblings in the halls of Kronos that Jimpak is catering to the Federation, just as Martok did. For his part, Jimpak says that it is only wise to explore all options, and on Stardate 74461.3, he silences many of his critics in a most dramatic fashion. The IKS Kang, missing since the previous year, reappears long enough for its captain to announce that the House of Duras will formally ally with the House of Jimpak. Captain Jarrod, now calling himself Jarrod, son of Lursa, says that he is taking leadership of the House of Duras, and the House of Kotorg will be merged into the House of Duras upon the death of his foster father. The alliance with Duras gives Jimpak's house the support of many of the oldest and most influential of the great houses, and the Jimpak wastes no time in reminding many of the High Council that debts owed to Duras are now owed to him as well. The move also fully returns to the House of Duras to legitimacy, as Jimpak uses his powers as Chancellor to wipe away past rulings against the House. The shake-up in the Klingon political scene now means that the most of the great houses are beholden to either the House of Duras or the House of Martok, and observers say that the polarization of the Empire will only continue. Following the announcements, the IKS Kang cloaks and disappears again. However, data from Klingon sensor stations place the Kang near the Mechar system, which is near the border between the Klingon Empire and the Gorn hegemony. Starfleet intelligence reports that the Hassan the Undying has moved his base of operations to the former Orion homeworld. Observers do not believe that this is a sign of a break between Melanie Dion and her greatest ally, but suggest that the Hassan might still be acting on her orders. There is no reason for Melanie to toss Hassan aside. If anything, the Emerald Empress wants someone that she trusts, implicitly running syndicate operations outside of Klingon space while she stays safe behind a wall of warriors, said Blixbrow, a investigative reporter for the Federation News Service. In Romulan space, the government of Karatos, which was decimated by a plague of bloodfire and the subsequent Romulan quarantine, declares its independence from Romulan rule. They've given us nothing but death and offered nothing but more pain. We owe Taris no allegiance, said Kavatran leader Kito. Praetor Taris orders General Tebok to put down the insurrection with force, but the general refuses to order his troops to fire on civilians. He instead negotiates a settlement with Kito, agreeing to give the Kavatran leaders safe passage to Nova Roma to present their grievances to the Romulan Senate, and ordering that the relief supplies and medical personnel be sent to Kavatras immediately. In response for his insubordination, Taris orders Tebok to resign his position as head of the Romulan military. Tebok refuses and instead appeals to the Senate, which overrules Taris. In the olden days of the Romulans, Tebok would have ended up on the wrong end of an arrow blade. Now not only is he alive, he's still in charge of the fleet. The cracks are appearing in Praetor Taris' role, and if she doesn't do something, soon she won't last, said Emal Kote of the Trill News Service.